Evening, ladies as well as gentlemen. Papa Boris is back for some more Hearthstone Arena action. I'm also using a new microphone, so hopefully the sound is smoother, crisper, and sexier than ever before. So on this run, we're going to go ahead and pick Mage. It has been the longest of these three classes, which is fine. I think Mage is the strongest of those three in general. Lots of good cards for Mage. The last time I did Mage, though, like, I didn't see, like, any of the good commons. It was hilarious. No Frostbolts, no Polymorphs, no Fireballs. It was a tough time. Here we're starting off with a garbage epic. Ice Block, it'll buy you a turn, but usually it just means you lose a turn later. Spellbender can actually be kind of nice. I prefer Counterspell myself because there are a lot of non-targeted spells in the game. And the big game hunter will just randomly kill something sometime. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll pick the Spellbender. We'll try it out. I don't think I've ever actually used it before, so we'll go ahead and see. Well, Vaporize I'm not a big fan of, so we'll take the Ethereal Arcanist. I mean, I do have a secret, so might as well go for it. In general, I don't like the secret way of doing things with Mage. I prefer to just play with good creatures and use, removal that the Mage has in abundance and kill things that way. Okay, well, here, we'll just take the Panda. It's got the same total stats as the Darkscale Healer, but it's got a potentially useful ability, and it costs a mana less, so that's cool. Well, we can go for some card draw, or for the really quality 3-drop here. Let's go for the really good 3-drop in the Worgen. I do like to have a Frost Nova in my deck, but let's grab a Vengeful Mercenary. This guy can just randomly win you the game sometimes, so it's nice to have. Frostbolt. Good to see you again, Mr. Frostbolt. Tough call here. So we can take a Premier 1-drop or a Premier 4-drop. Man, I don't have any Taunt yet, and this engine is very good. We'll take it, although I'm sad to be passing on a Mana Worm. Oh god, am I passing on another Mana Worm to take a Water Elemental? I do love the Water Elemental a lot. It's just so good against, really all the classes that would want to attack, as long as you keep hitting the opponent with it. But it'd be nice to get a Mana Worm in the deck. Oh man, I do have a lot of 4-drops here. Let's grab the Mana Worm here and just be sad that we're not taking the Water Elemental. Alright, we have another rare. I don't want another of these. Let's just take the Imp Master here. Build up an Imp army. That seems totally fine. This is utter trash, except for the Ravenholt Assassin, so let's not linger any longer there than we need to. Another Raging Worgen? Well, I could use some 2-mana creatures, so we'll take the Novice Engineer and get some card draw while we're at it. That seems fine. These creatures I'm not a big fan of. It's not to say that they're never good, it's just there's a lot of cases when they're bad. So we'll grab the Arcane Explosion here, although it's not my favorite of the Mage spells. I could take a Mediocre Taunter. Well, we're getting a 3-drop no matter what. We'll take the Flesh-Eating Ghoul. It has the potential biggest impact on the game because it grows nice and big. Here, let's take some Silence to make sure we've got at least one out in the deck against ridiculous things. Another 3-drop here. Well, the Raid Leader is good with the Imp Master, but otherwise it's a bit mediocre. We'll just take another Flesh-Eating Ghoul. Call it a day. Polymorph. Good to see you again, Spell. Man, I'm not a big fan of the Priestess, even for mana curve reasons. I mean, it's basically like a 4-mana creature for 6 mana, so putting this in your deck doesn't really qualify as having late game. We're just going to grab some card draw with the Acolyte. The Acolyte is really good for mages because you can ping it with your hero ability and draw cards right away. We could take another Worgen, but our 3-drops are doing fine. Let's actually grab the Cult Master, because it is very good with the Imp Master. It makes me kind of sad that I passed on those Swarm spells earlier, but that's still fine. Even without the Imp Master, the Cult Master can often be really good. Finally, Sorcerer's Apprentice, very good 2-drop. And we have an epic. Oh my god. Well, this is tough. Having to choose between a Sea Giant or a Pyroblast. Oh, jeez. I think I'm going to take the Sea Giant, but with many regrets. I mean, the Pyroblast can just win you the game earlier, but I mean, then again, so can the Sea Giant. So we'll grab the Sea Giant here and just be sad. I could take another Mana Worm. I do like having more than one of these. But we could use some late game. I mean, we've currently got 3 cards that are 5 mana or more. Let's grab the Frost Elemental. That's a very strong 6-drop. And look at that. We get another Mana Worm anyway. Now, I could take Archmage or the War Golem, but now we're doing fine in late game. Let's get another one of those. And sad to pass on a Dark Iron Dwarf, but you really do need to take a Flame Strike if you're a mage. It's a good thing to have. Here we'll get some more late game with the Gurubashi Berserker. Again, this is another card that you as the mage can ping yourself. I can take a mediocre 1-drop, 1-drop that sort of sucks, but maybe the battle cry will be good, or a mediocre taunt. 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures, 5 creatures at 5 mana or more. Oh man, well I'm low on taunt, so I'll take a mediocre one at 5 mana there. So get another Water Elemental. Now the Dragonling mechanic, yes, that's good with the Cult Master, but the Water Elemental 6 toughness for 4 mana is unheard of. And 3 power is not shabby, so it's a really great creature. Another Polymorph seems like an easy pick. And these guys are fine, but another Frostbolt is also an easy pick. Another Water Elemental or a Fen Creeper? Notice how these have the same total stats, but the Water Elemental just costs some mana less. So some people talk about mana curve and drafting, but the thing you have to keep in mind is taking a card just because it has a certain amount of mana cost isn't necessarily smart. Because if you can get a card that's basically as good but is cheaper, then you're not really gaining anything. So here, really the value is, you know, the taunt. How much worth it is that to me for the extra mana? I've got the Sanjin Shieldmaster. I've got the Booty Bay Bodyguard. That's 2. No other taunt anywhere else. So how much do I care about adding a third taunt to my deck? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures at 5 mana or more. 7 total cards at that level. Alright, we'll take a Fen Creeper. Taunt sometimes does kind of save you. And here... I mean, I could take Vaporize, because right now I've got this Ethereal Arcanist, who's a 3/3 for 4, which is awful. But if you can get a secret, he's really good. So if you can get a secret, he's really good. If you can't get a secret, he blows monkey chunks. My only secret at the moment is the Spellbender. Now, Vaporize can be great if your opponent has one big creature, or it can be awful if your opponent has lots of little stuff. So the Wild Pyromancer, how good is that for me? Well, it turns on my Raging Worgen, and it also turns on my Gurubashi Berserker, so that's actually kind of nifty. Granted, I can do that myself with my hero ability, so that's not, like, super valuable. It clears out all my imps. It actually triggers the Acolyte of Pain, which is kind of nifty. Kills off my Owl. Man, that's tricky. I just never feel good when I'm playing that Vaporize. All your opponent needs is any one swarm creature, and it's just a terrible card. Well, how many 2-drops do I have? I got 1, 2. There are 2 creatures I can play for 2 mana. The Iron Beak Owl is not really a 2-drop. Yeah, let's get some more early game. This curve is deceiving. A lot of this is Frostbolts, Arcane Explosions, and stuff. So, yeah. This deck, I think, turned out fine. We got all the key ingredients. The Mage, we got the Polymorph for the single target, 1-click removal. The Flame Strike, gotta have one of those in there. Be nice to have 2, but we got 1, that's fine. And lots of quality creatures. There were not really that many bad picks. There was the lame Epic, where I took a Spellbender. And then there was the Ethereal Arcanist. But other than that, I think all the picks were really solid here. So we should be okay. Up against a Hunter, hella much. Nice fantasy name there, sir. Alright, well, easy call here. We're going to pass back the Ravenholt Assassin. We'll keep the Frostbolt to kill early plays, and we'll pick up a Frost-Eating Ghoul. No, we'll pick up a Flesh-Eating Ghoul here, or a Worgen on turn 3, and call it a day. Ah, even got a Mana Worm. Well, that's great. Love these Mana Worms. They are such a nuisance. The 3 health is really critical. Really, any of these creatures that have 3 health for 1 mana are such a pain for opponents to deal with. And it's only class-specific cards. There are no neutral cards that have this property of costing 1 mana and having 3 toughness. So it's all like the special cards, and it really makes a huge difference. There's a card called Light Warden. It's a neutral rare, and it's a 1/2 for 1. Every time a character is healed, you gain +2 attack. I've tried playing with it as Priest, and it's just terrible because of the 2 toughness. It just dies to everything. The difference between 3 and 2 is absolutely enormous. Here's a Loot Hoarder for my opponent. Interesting choice. Well, so here's the thing. I could just ping this off, keep attacking with the Mana Worm, call it a day. I could play Flesh-Eating Ghoul, attack in with the Mana Worm, kill this Loot Hoarder, call it a day as well. Go the Flesh-Eating Ghoul. The issue there is that I'm running into multi-shot on my next turn with a coin. If my opponent does that, he'd use his coin and end his whole turn. I'd play a Raging Worgen after that. He'd have 4 mana. He could play something really good after that. I could polymorph it, turn on. Yep, I think it's fine. I think looking ahead, like the master of chess that I am, I have decided that it is okay if I get multi-shotted here because I've got a really good follow-up play. Worgen, he plays something, polymorph, kill the sheep with the Worgen, turn on Wind Fury, and attack. Seems good. And if he doesn't have multi-shot, well, then I have a Mana Worm and a Flesh-Eating Ghoul, so that's fine as well. He appears not to have it. I think if I were a Hunter and I had multi-shot, I'd coin multi-shot pretty much right away. Nope, he just wanted to sit around and do nothing for no reason whatsoever. That's great. Ah, Spellbender. So multi-shot actually would not work on Spellbender, because it's untargeted. What's interesting though is it's when an enemy casts a spell on a minion, so even like a beneficial spell, the spellbender will steal it. Alright, there's a Chillwind Yeti. Normally that is a fright to behold, but this is why we have Polymorph. And actually I can sneak in a Sorcerer's Apprentice here. This is a tricky thing. When you play Sorcerer's Apprentice, always consider what your mana cost would be after you play it. Like, it may look like, oh, these are 6, but so I can't play them both. But actually, if I play this first, then I can Polymorph the Yeti, kill the sheep, and swing. So, my opponent could have another multi-shot, then he'd probably win the game. But he already played one, figured the odds aren't that great, he'd have another, and draw it. So I should be okay. If he has an explosive trap, that would also suck, because it would kill both my creatures. Explosive shot, well, it's basically the same thing as a multi-shot here. It kills both my creatures for his whole turn, so that blows. We have another Mana Worm. Let's play our secret. And let's do that. So it actually, if I had the Spellbender in play, the Spellbender would have redirected the explosive shot, but the Worgen would have still died. I believe the Spellbender pops to the right. That's where things always pop in this game. Well, this game has been really obnoxious. I've had all the stuff I need to have. My opponent's just had removal. Hunters are not known for their removal, but he's had the right removal cards for the spells that I've been playing. So, he might very well win this game. He's got huge card advantage right now. He's got 7 to, Jesus, 4, 3, and a secret. God, that's awful. Oh, boy. Well, I can't play the Sea Giant next turn, because if I do, it'll just die to the Cobra. That's the thing about playing with this Cobra. You often don't realize how good it is. Ah, interesting. Frost Elemental. Yeah. So basically, I could Frostbolt this thing, but then I can't do anything else with my turn other than kill the Loot Hoarder. Let's get some bodies on the board. I'm gonna freeze that thing. And I'm actually gonna kill this Loot Hoarder. You might wonder, well, Boris, why are you killing that Loot Hoarder? Isn't the Loot Hoarder gonna just run in anyway? The answer is yes, but I don't want him to play like a Dark Iron Dwarf, buff the Loot Hoarder, and kill off my Mana Worm. So, the Mana Worm, notice how it survived with 1 health. Any source of buffing damage would have screwed me up. Alright, well, my opponent plays the Houndmaster here on the Emperor Cobra, which is quite a good use of that Houndmaster. I hope that's a targeted spell. It looks to be. I will Spellbender that. The Cobra, I'm going to have to 2-for-1 myself, it looks like, unless I'm willing to trade my Frost Elemental for it. Because I guess I could play the Sea Giant. Ah, Kill Command. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so the Kill Command would have dealt 5 damage and killed my Elemental, but instead the Spellbender will redirect it. So that was essentially as good as a counterspell right there, which is fantastic news for me. Gurubashi Berserker, well, let's think about this. So I could freeze this and kind of make it not my problem for a while, but the taunt means I can't really deal with it. I can't ignore it like I'd like to. I could trade my Frost Elemental for it and just play the Sea Giant and hope for the best. I could also then Frostbolt this Houndmaster, leave myself with a Mana Worm. Yeah, that seems good. So always make sure you do things in the right order. So first I'm going to play the Giant. Then, well, hang on. I could Frostbolt this, use my Mana Worm to trade it off, Frost Elemental to kill the Houndmaster, keep my bigger creature around. I mean, if I'm going to use the Frostbolt and everything dies anyway, might as well keep this around rather than a Mana Worm, right? Yeah, that seems smart. So even though it feels wrong to 2-for-1 myself here, I think it's actually the right move, because well, sometimes like the kind of emotionally unappealing moves, actually I don't even need to attack this. If he buffs it, all he could kill is that anyway. Yeah, we're just going to swing 5 damage. Sometimes the really emotionally unappealing moves turn out to be the correct moves if you analyze like the actual logic, like logically what is actually happening under those circumstances. Alright, well this is a very good card and it draws my opponent a card, but the issue is it doesn't have taunt or anything, so I can just ignore it. I can swing for 13 damage, 14 damage, and my opponent's in a little bit of trouble here. He can deal 10, 12 damage. Yeah, I really don't think he can kill me. So I'm going to take a little bit of a risk. I'm actually going to just go boom, boom, I want you in my room, and we'll just unload all of our stuff. It's giving me a well played like he has the win here. It's possible. Hunters could have it. What is it, 10, 12? You need 14 more damage with 9 mana and 6 cards. It's possible. Knife Juggler, okay. That's not part of a combo or anything. Basically, the main way a hunter would win is if he played a bunch of beasts, drew a bunch of cards, and then played Unleash the Hounds and swung at me and killed me. Okay, he appears not to have the kill. Although these spawning hyenas do trigger the knife juggler, which is quite clever. And they also draw cards, which is also quite clever. I have to admit, that was actually a quite clever move by my opponent. Maybe I should have respected that a little bit. Oh god, alright, so this is starting now. My opponent has to be careful with these knifelings. They could trigger my berserker. Granted, so can I. If this berserker is allowed to just live and there's no taunt in the way, I can trigger it and then swing for 5 damage and win. So my opponent has to be careful here. If this could have been a Pyroblast. I guess I'm glad it's not. I think it's better than a Pyroblast would have been in this game, because I got to play it earlier. Although, and it attacked once, I think. So yeah, it was about the same. What's my opponent doing? I don't think he actually has the save here. He's got 5 mana left. He's got a lot to deal with. Still needs to put a taunt down. Still with his Gurubashi Berserker. He's got 4 mana left. He has to play a taunt or he loses. That... Oh god. Well, he loses, I think. Because he wasn't able to kill my creatures. He needed to kill off this Imp Master, too. Because now I can flush out any traps with the Imp Master. It's not even anything. Okay, well, we'll just ping my own dude. And swing for the kill. I don't know what that was. Alright, well, my opponent had a really epic turn here. Hella much. And it didn't end up mattering because he didn't kill my Gurubashi Berserker. Yay! So our decision to attack for the face was correct. That was a nice win. It was a bit scary at the end, but I would say that given how good my opponent's removal was with the multi-shot, the explosive shot, I think it was a solid game. And you know what? If that Spellbender had been a big game hunter, which is the other thing it could have been, I might have lost. Because, yeah, the big game hunter wouldn't have had anything to hit, and the Spellbender saved my Frost Elemental. Wow. Well, this seems pretty good. 2, 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, I'm second. When you're second, you don't actually want to be on a curve. You'd rather have like 2, 2, 3, 4 when you're second. So this is kind of sucky. I don't get to really use my coin. But I'm going to keep all this. Seems fine. Azimut, the hunter here, we've got really solid creatures, and that's what you want against hunters because they dodge. I mean, they survive the multi-shots and the explosive shots and whatnot. There's really no need to coin out this Pyromancer at all here. I really wouldn't gain much, because I don't have any removal or anything. I mean, I could slow my opponent down if he has a fast start, but other than that, it would have been a waste. And my opponent does not have a fast start, so that's great. We can calmly now proceed to play the Pyromancer. I could actually coin out a Flesh-Eating Ghoul and then the Worgen, but no, it's fine. The nice thing about the Pyromancer is it'll trade with anything he can play right now. I mean, even if he plays like a 4 toughness creature, I can always coin out. Coin does trigger the Pyromancer because it's a spell, and then attack with the Pyromancer.
What you want?
Frostwolf Grunt. Well, that's a pretty good answer to the Pyromancer because it trades, but anyway, that ended up being totally irrelevant. All right. Well, let's go ahead and play the Worgen here. This is a very good answer to Frostwolf Grunt because I can kill the Grunt, become a 4/1 with Wind Fury and attack again. So like my opponent might not be able to play anything now because the Worgen could like attack both the Grunt and it. Even if he kills the Grunt, I really don't care. I can drop a Ascension, or actually the Water Elemental is fine. I don't need the taunt just yet. Alright, so he's got the taunt. This is actually a pretty good answer here because even when enraged, the Worgen doesn't quite deal enough damage to kill that guy. However, it plus the hero ability would do the job. So maybe this is the time to use the coin. So basically, I could Novice Engineer, Worgen on this, Worgen on that, hero ability. I'm left with a Novice Engineer on the board. And I've drawn a card. Or I could make a Flesh-Eating Ghoul that's a 6/3. Yeah, we'll do that. That seems fine. Yep. So what we'll do is we'll play the Flesh-Eating Ghoul first. The order here is very important. Then we'll do that. And that. And coin. And that. So a Deadly Shot would do it for my opponent, but that would be his entire turn, pretty much. And I have a follow-up play with the Fen Creeper here, so I'm fine. My opponent is thinking. That was the card he just drew, so he just top-decked the answer to my Flesh-Eating Ghoul, which is sad. And he's got a secret. Well, I'm actually not that bothered by the secret, because this will survive Snipe. I could actually consider playing these two cards, because having more stuff on the board is nice in case this is like a freezing trap. Yeah, we're going to do this, actually. We'll do that, because you always want to draw cards first. While my opponent's not putting any pressure on me. Ah, it's a Snipe, okay. play the Acolyte of Pain. Call it a day. Alright, well this is a really strong hand. I've got absolutely premier creatures here, so basically my opponent needs to have premier creatures himself or else he's going to be in trouble. He has a Harvest Golem, which is great on turn 3. It's a bit less impressive now. So this either he's not getting a good draw or he drafted too much low end. I have a lot of high end here. The Wolf. Well, the Wolf is interesting because it does allow the Golem to kill my Acolyte, so I can't run the Acolyte into the Golem anymore. But now I can just run it into the Wolf instead, so that seems fine. We could play the Fen Creeper, but actually the Senjin is just as good right now, and it will allow me to kill off the Wolf. So I will do this. Oh my god, I should have drawn a card first. Always draw cards first, kids. Luckily it didn't make a difference here, but still you should always draw cards first. So, if you look at the situation, not only do I have control over the board, but my opponent has 3 cards in his hand to my 6, so basically I've just had amazingly favorable trades this whole game, and he needs like really amazing stuff here to bail himself out. He's going to do that, I assume run the Golem into it. He is, in fact. Yep, well that's not super great. I mean, I have my choice. I can either run my Acolyte in, kill the Golem, and draw a card, or I can even just ping it off and keep the Acolyte around. There's a secret. Okay. Well, let's see what we can do here. I think what I'll do is I'll actually swing in to see if this is Freezing Trap or Snake Trap. It's one of those two. It is Freezing Trap. That's fine. So I really don't care that much about the Acolyte going back into my hand. So for 7 mana, I would just like to play as much as I can. And I think a good combo of cards here would be the Water Elemental and a Nymph Master. Alright, well, my opponent is in dire trouble. I honestly don't even know what a Hunter could have here that would win him the game. I'm at 24 health, which was a lot, so he'd have to, I don't know, burn me out awful quickly with 2 cards. I'm not really sure what that would be. So yeah, this game we just kind of won the opening and the mid game. It's not, now it's just a matter of cleaning up. Uh-oh, does he even have anything? Let's see. Oh god, he's passing the turn. That is not good news for him. Well, let's just go ahead and play this. This seems totally fine. And I'm actually gonna do an interesting move. I'm gonna kill this. That way I'm keeping 3 creatures on the board. Oh, I'm not. Shoot, the Sim's back to make another one. I was gonna say I'm trying to play around the Mind Control tech, which I have lost to before. But I forgot the Imp Master would make just another Imp, so it ends up being 4 anyway. So I made a mistake. I should have used... Oh my god, look at this. I actually thought about him having it, but I should have, what I should have done is I should have pinged off the Golem with the hero ability, but that way I would have had 2 Imps on the board, and it would have actually been more likely for me to dodge Mind Control Tech. Well, anyway, the Mind Control Tech got my 8-8 rather than my 1-1, so there we go. My opponent catches a break here. Let's go ahead and polymorph that thing. Let's just kill his stuff and play Fen Creeper. Okay, so I'm still fine. You know, it's been a good game when your opponent steals your 8-8 on a 1 in 4 chance, and you're still totally crushing him. But again, it's possible now that he could play some like really like legendary thing, like a King Crush or something right now, would actually get him back into this game. Oh my god, that was so annoying. This Imp Master. I forgot it was going to make another Imp, so I could have reduced my opponent's chances from 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 of stealing my Giant. So that could have absolutely made the difference right there. And he's starting to whittle me down a little bit, which is annoying, but I think we're still okay here. Ravenhold Assassin is a hard hitter. Yeah, we'll just play him.
I hear you got a problem.
Let's just clearing house a little bit here. Alright, bye-bye Imp Master. You were good while you lasted. My opponent's 8 turns away from killing me with hero ability. I will kill him much sooner than that. And I've got the Booty Bay Bodyguard for more taunts to prevent against charge. He played this. That was an interesting choice. I mean, this does kill the Ravenhold Assassin, but it has to be unstealthed. So I think my opponent might have just made a boo-boo right there.
That didn't quite hit the mark.
I'm sorry.
He should have waited for me to attack first. Okay, well, let's play another taunt.
Get behind me.
And let's play this Berserker. If I had kept mana around for the hero ability, I could have finished this thing off. Whatever.
Problems.
I think we can just start going for the throat here. Seems fine by me. So next turn, I can enrage the Gurubashi, and it plus the Booty Bay Bodyguard will deal 10 damage. So my opponent needs to clear out my taunt and everything I have. It's really not going to happen. Alright, there we go. So that is going to be the game. My opponent did get me down somewhat close. 9 is kind of low. I mean, considering how well I was doing, I'm surprised I even made it that low. But anyway, we won. Thankfully, in this particular game, we didn't have to pay for our slight mistake of throwing away an imp. The thing is, I thought he might have a mind control. It was very suspicious to me that, you know, for 6 mana, he didn't play anything when he was that far behind. So I really felt like he had mind control. He's waiting for me to play a 4th creature. So I called it, and then I made absolutely the wrong decision around it. It was really, like, I went out of my way to make the wrong decision. Well, anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do please like and or subscribe. I would appreciate that tremendously. And if you want to see how the arena ends, well, stay tuned. You're going to find out. I'll see you shortly.